So it's official. Bryan Kohberger has been sentenced. The man accused of brutally murdering 4 University Idaho students, no longer just a suspect. He is now locked away for life. But sentencing day, that wasn't about him. It was about families, about voices breaking the silence. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't just tearing up. I was sobbing, like full-blown snot crying during the victim statements. Because this wasn't courtroom drama. This was raw human heartbreak. Now, let's rewind. November 13, 2022, Moscow, Idaho. A night that should have been ordinary became one of the darkest in true crime history. 4 lives stolen. Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. The case took over headlines. The internet turned into amateur detectives overnight, and all trails led to one man, Bryan Kohberger. The evidence was chilling. DNA on a knife sheath, cell phone data that conveniently went dark, and the white Elantra spotted near the scene. He was arrested, indicted, and we all thought this was headed towards a drawn-out trial. But instead, Kohberger took a plea deal. No death penalty, instead life in prison without parole. And that's how we got here. Sentencing day, the families finally got their chance to speak, to tell Kohberger and the world exactly what he took from them. Kaylee's sister, Olivia, stood with her voice breaking and said, "You're not a phantom or a criminal mastermind. You are a coward." And she wasn't just speaking for herself. She was speaking for all of us who watched this unfold. Ethan Chapin's mom described her son as the light of their family, saying, "He was just getting started and you ripped him from us." Xana's family painted a picture of her humor, her kindness, her future that will never be lived out. And Maddie's loved ones called Kohberger what he is, a monster. And I'll tell you, sitting there listening to those words, it was like the whole courtroom was holding its breath. You could hear the crack in every voice, the shaking hands, the turning pages, the weight of grief so heavy, you could feel it pressing into your chest. Reporters were supposed to be ejected while wiping their eyes. Strangers in the benches clutched tissues, whispering prayers under their breath. And me, I wasn't just tearing up, I was ugly crying. I mean, snot crying. Gasping for air crying. Because these weren't speeches. These were broken parents and shattered siblings ripping open their wounds in front of the man who caused them. And it hit harder than any piece of evidence ever could. And Kohberger, he sat there, silent, blank, a statue in shackles. If he felt anything, he didn't show it. Maybe that's what makes this whole thing even more chilling. The absence of remorse. The vacuum where humanity should have been. So where does that leave us now? Bryan Kohberger will never walk free again. That much is certain. But closure is a myth. Motive remains locked away in his mind, a dark riddle with no answer. And the families, they live with the echoes of what could have been. Sometimes justice doesn't look like truth. It just looks like survival. And in that courtroom, survival looked like parents standing tall, voices cracking but never breaking, telling the man who thought they could erase their children, "You failed, they live on in us." And as I sat there sobbing like my soul was cracking open, I realized justice isn't always about the guilty. Sometimes it's about the strength of the broken. And in that room that day, the broken were unshakable. Do you think the plea deal was justice or a cop-out? Should Kohberger have faced the trial? Drop your thoughts below, because this case may be sentenced, but the questions, they're still haunting. Have a good day, guys.